Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, whatever it is for you. Welcome back to a Division 2 video, and we are on the PTS Phase 2 testing out the Retaliation game mode. Again, as there are a few small changes, but mostly a few big additions. I want to give you a quick breakdown what Retaliation is, talking about the new addition, maneuvers. We got some new projects to talk about as well. I want to talk about how to activate this the fastest way, or how to piss off a faction the fastest way so you can keep retaliating. And then of course we go over the conclusion. So what is Retaliation? Retaliation is a new game mode that will be introduced next season with the Pact. It is an open world game mode. If we open up our map and go 2 tabs to the right, you'll see the new tab Retaliation. These will show us the faction statuses of all the enemies within the map except for Black Tusk. Whenever you take anything out, an open world objective, just roaming open world enemies, taking out a mission, taking out a stronghold, that will agitate the factions and that will build up this little status. As you can see, we are almost 75% on pissing off the True Sons. Whenever you piss them off, the Retaliation will activate. Let's take the True Sons for example. When they take over an area, you have a choice to accept it or decline it. If you want to just keep playing in that same area, if you want to just keep doing your missions and not thinking about retaliation, you can do that as well. You have 6 hours in total to accept or decline. After those 6 hours, that whole area will be taken over by the True Sons or whatever faction you pissed off. When you start Retaliation, you will be put in one of the safe houses, and from there you need to take over all of the control points. Whatever your map is on, normal, hard, challenging or heroic, that will be the Retaliation map as well. And then you need to start running and take over those control points. We cannot fast travel. Everything needs to be done on foot. Take over a control point, that will give you some extra seconds back. And of course, taking out the enemies in front of you while doing a retaliation will add 2 seconds to the bank as well. Doesn't matter what enemy archetype it is, if it's a red bar, a purple bar, a yellow bar, a named, all of these will give you 2 extra seconds. When you take this over, there's also a big chance that a kill squad will be hunting you down. These are named enemies that try to take you out or make your life a little bit more miserable while doing the retaliation. This group of enemies is kinda the same as named enemies, a little bit stronger, and when you take them out, you have a big chance to get one of the exotic blueprints to drop for you, and those are the new blueprints that we can target farm our exotics. When running through the retaliation, you will also have an opportunity to do some maneuvers. The maneuvers is a new thing that was added to retaliation on the PTS Phase 2, and we will see this added to the live game as well whenever this goes live in September. Maneuvers are kind of extra challenges for you to get some extra time in. Most of these will give you 45 seconds, but I believe that we saw one yesterday that gave us a full minute. But it looks like the reward is an extra 45 seconds, and that will be counted on your clock, the time that you still have left to take over all of the other control points. These maneuvers are challenges like breaking armor, like using your skills. There are a bunch of different ones. If I'm not mistaken, there are 25 or 26 different ones. Don't quote me on the number. I will get back to you when I have all of the official numbers for that, but it will be around 25 different challenges. Every single time that you walk to or attack a control point, you have a maneuver that you could do. So for example, take out 3 enemies in cover without reloading, and that will give you an extra 45 seconds on top of your timer. Whenever you took over a control point, this will always change. Even though you did not finish that maneuver will be replaced. So if you feel like you need those extra seconds, make sure to keep your eye out on those maneuvers, what to do for it. But there are also, for example, maneuvers that you have to take people out with skills. Then if I'm not on a skill build, I am not changing around to a skill build or going out of my way to try to take somebody out with a skill. 9 out of 10 times, if you're gonna go out of your comfort zone to try to get those maneuvers, you're already wasting that 45 seconds to get that maneuver done, and then you get the 45 seconds back and you're kinda starting from scratch again. So don't go out of your way to try to do the maneuvers, but it is definitely helpful to get those extra seconds. And whenever you took over the last control point, this will conclude the retaliation. You will see a screen giving you all the information what you've done and especially what you earned. You probably see a lot of new materials, and all of these materials can be used to craft all of the exotics that are connected to this retaliation mode. If we go to our crafting bench, open up our crafting, scroll all the way down, you will see a new column with exotics. These are the extra blueprints for exotics, so don't worry, nothing has changed. This is an extra way to get exotics and especially target farm your exotics. If you're looking for the memento, for example, and you've been farming Countdown for 4 days straight already and it's not dropping for you, you might want to look into retaliation, and then you can focus on a certain faction, because that is the beautiful thing. If we take the memento, for example, there are 8 different exotics that are connected to the Outcast faction, and Memento is one of them. So if you want to hunt down the Memento, just piss off the Outcasts constantly. If you then do 8 retaliations, there is a big chance that you have those exotic blueprints, or at least a bunch of them. If you then get that memento, you only have to get all of the materials together, run a couple more retaliations, for example, and craft that exotic without you having to hope that RNGesus is blessing your behind, and now we can just target farm. So for the new and or returning players and or mid-level players, this is a great addition and another way to target farm your exotics. And everything you do in the game will piss off the faction. Doesn't matter if you take out somebody roaming in the open world, taking out a mission, going for a stronghold, or just running into the open world doing open world activities. Everything that you do will piss off that certain faction. And with that being said, we can now also piss off one of the factions in a daily project. Yes, they added a new daily project to the game to give us a full 100% agitation for one of the factions. They will choose that faction that day. So today it's gonna be hyenas, yesterday it was true sons. So to take today as an example, we only have to complete one hyena bounty to piss off the hyenas for the full 100% and instantly start retaliation if you want to. This is a huge W, and yes, you can do this on multiple characters. Because it's a project, this project will be open for multiple characters. You have to do that project on that character, but if you want to run the retaliation on different characters, that is definitely possible, even throughout this project. And now that we talked a little about the new project activating, of course, our retaliation, there are multiple ways to piss off the certain factions. This is a whole list that was put together again by Virtuals. A huge shout out for sharing it in our Discord. Check him out, he makes great content. And again, this is a great cheat sheet, so make sure to screenshot it, save this cheat sheet, as these are all the percentages that you will receive when completing something or taking something out. So for example, if we take over a stronghold on heroic, we have a full 100% agitation for that certain faction. Of course, there are different strongholds. We tested yesterday, we went into DUA, we ran through DUA in like 15 minutes, we pissed off the hyenas, and we started our retaliation for hyenas. So you don't have to worry that it takes hours and hours in end to activate that retaliation again, because that's the biggest thing that I heard from people, is that you are preparing the retaliation longer than you're playing into the retaliation. And to a certain degree there, right? But it depends on which named area you get. A friend of mine, Notorious Fox, got East Mall yesterday. They asked him to take over 4 control points for that retaliation. So it is different per area, and then of course depending on which faction you pissed off. So if we jump back to the cheat sheet, you see that you only have to complete a stronghold on heroic to activate everything or whatever you want to do, right? If we look, for example, for a propaganda broadcast on heroic, that will give you 19%. So for then, you have to take over 5 of those propaganda broadcasts, and then in between, you probably took out some NPCs that will also give you a little bit towards this. So taking over 5 propaganda broadcasts on heroic will activate the retaliation for you as well. So whatever you like to play as, right? You can just run around in the open world, do propaganda broadcasts, resource convoys, hostile rescues, public executions, whatever you like to do, and on whatever difficulty you like to do it as well. But overall, if we look to the left and you see missions and strongholds, that might be the way to go. Especially for the stronghold, DUA you can do within 15 minutes. Missions you can do in 5 to 10 minutes depending on which mission it is. And then you see Master will give us 100%, where Heroic will give us 48, twice the Heroic and you're there. Or maybe even Heroic, then multiple NPCs will give you some extra percentages, so you can clear it after that with 2 propaganda broadcasts, for example. It's nice to see that everything that you do on the map or take out on the map will count towards that retaliation. And now let's talk about retaliation overall. What do I think about it? And most importantly, what do you think about it? Hit me up in the comments down below. I would love to hear your opinion. So I'm positively surprised about this retaliation game mode. I did not see it coming, but the rewards are not good enough for us endgame players, or day 1 players, better said. As, of course, most things in the game aren't really rewarding for us anymore, and that's also not why we play the game, but a new game mode like this would be nice if we as an endgame player also would get something. Because, for example, now, the exotic cash that you can get at the end is a chance to get that. So the moment that day 1 players want to play something that rewards them, they're not gonna play retaliation. If you only have a chance to get an exotic at the end, why are we doing this? It's better for an endgame player to then keep playing a control point, for example. Because if we take over 2 different control points, what we 9 out of 10 times do with retaliation as well, we can open 2 of the gear boxes at the end, giving us at least 5 to 6 pieces of gear, what also gives us an opportunity to get an exotic component. So in a perfect world, we get 12 pieces of gear, what is connected to that area, and we get 2 exotic components. In a perfect world, when we complete the retaliation, we will receive 1 exotic cash, aka 1 exotic component. And then some materials to craft a certain exotic, what will set you back 3 exotic components. So for an endgame player, there is not much that is interesting within the rewards. And don't get me wrong, most of us that are still playing the game are not playing it for the rewards anymore. But that's the biggest thing I heard from the community. Also that a lot of people want to chain them together. I've heard a lot of people talking about, bro, I am trying to get that retaliation going, and then it's taking me longer to prepare the retaliation than do the retaliation itself. And of course, there is a little RNG connected to that, as I already showed you earlier that my friend Notorious had 4 control points to take over, but most what we did was 2 or maybe 3 control points. And then you're done in 10 to 15 minutes. And in that same time, you can maybe beat DUA, for example, to activate an hyena retaliation again. But then we're only talking about DUA. We're only talking about District, Union, Arena, Stronghold for the hyena. So that means that we can only piss off the hyenas in that same time frame. If we already go over to the True Sons and go to Capital, Capital will already give you like an extra 5 to 10 minutes of gameplay, pushing you to 20 to 25 minutes in preparing the retaliation. When you get that retaliation then, and it's 2 control points, within 10 minutes you're done. So that was one of the other complaints that I heard from the community, talking to chat, and of course hearing what everybody's opinion was about this, is that it just takes too long to activate versus what the game mode gives to us. So of course, if you get those 4 control points or even those 3 control points in a certain area, then it's already 50-50. Especially the 4 control points that will give you a longer playtime around those 30 minutes. But if you have 2 control points or even 3 control points, for us as an endgame player, this takes us 10 to 15 minutes. 9 of the 10 times it takes us longer to activate the retaliation than play the retaliation itself. Overall, I think it is a great game mode. It's a lot of fun. I won't play the game mode to try to get certain gear out or to try to get certain rewards out. I will start playing is to, of course, collect everything and help out the community and maybe target farm certain exotics, because that is the nice thing about it. If somebody never picked up a memento, for example, we can send him or her to Countdown, or we can put him or her in our squad. We're gonna run a couple retaliations from the outcasts, knowing that the blueprint from the memento will drop from the outcast. Then we have a 1 in 8 chance to get that blueprint to drop. If he or she gets it, we can get the materials together and he or she can instantly craft it without trying to pray to the RNG gods. So I think it's such a good addition for the new and or returning players to the game. And that was pretty much it. This was a little longer video than I expected. I talked way too much again, but hey, we're back. As last week, of course, I was at Gamescom, and after I came home, I had some internet problems, so we're back now. We're back on the grind. I will give you a lot more information about the PTS and everything ongoing, because, of course, in the foreseeable future, we will also see survivors coming to the game. I'm very excited, but I won't hold you any longer. Thank you for sticking until the end. Like the video if you liked the video or helped you out in any way or form. And of course, if you're new here and or you want to be updated by the Division 2, make sure to hit that subscribe button as well. And I will see you in the next one. Pure Prime out.